Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And before we get into more information about South African Airways' demise, I want to show you a really compelling set of figures, okay? Have a look at this. Tells the story. Well, there you go. Look how many employees South African Airways has compared to two other major airlines. Absolutely extraordinary. But of course, those employees are now on a strike, aren't they? And that is going to just complicate things for South African Airways. The decision by two labour unions to go on strike at South African Airways is one of the worst choices that could have been made for a sustainable approach of restructuring of South African Airways, an international aviation expert said. Over the past week, it's been reported that South African Airways is apparently scrambling to find 2 billion rand in working capital before the end of November in order to stay afloat. Late on Thursday evening, the embattled state-owned airline announced that it is cancelling flights, apart from certain exceptions, due to a strike by the South African Airways Cabin Crew Association and the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, which started on Friday morning. Reasons given for the strike included South Africa's planned restructuring announced on Monday, which might put 944 jobs in jeopardy. A wage increase of 8% that was denied, and a demand to have certain services be insourced immediately. The unions are apparently set to meet with the South African Airways board again on Saturday. An international aviation expert said, "South African Airways is overstaffed and underskilled. I am not union bashing, but the SAA is not competitive in its current setup." Now, this is because of BEE. That little acronym keeps on coming up. Black Economic Empowerment. And of course, black privilege within the board. Anyway, he went on to say, "It seems as some believe there will be a continuous loop of additional government support, while this is not the case." Anton van der Bijl, head of legal department of Union Solidarity, told the paper on Friday that its members are not striking at South African Airways at the moment. Solidarity will be meeting with its legal counsel during the coming week to establish the way forward. He said, "If South African Airways prevents us from being part of the retrenchment process, we will take legal action. We are preparing ourselves for the retrenchment process and the survival of South African Airways." By Friday afternoon, the Association of South African Travel Agents could not yet estimate the scale of the impact of the South African Airways strike, according to its CEO, Otto de Vries. He said, "Our members are currently all focused on rebooking their clients to ensure minimal disruption." The South African Communist Party on Friday afternoon said it is concerned about the ease and cavalier manner in which South African Airways management had approached the workers' strike. The South African Communist Party said, "Outsourced operations are the biggest cost driver at the South African Airways, according to the arguments presented by the unions." It called on the South African Airways management to be transparent about all the cost drivers affecting the viability of the airline, including details and costs associated with aircraft lease and fuel agreements, including any middle persons and their cost implications. Now, of course, we know that South African Airways has just bought a very, very expensive new Boeing plane. Great timing when you're insolvent. Anyway, the Chamber said South African Airways' salary bill is already 24% of its total costs. Its cumulative losses are more than 2 billion rand, and next week it hopes to get an equivalent amount in taxpayer loans because no one else will. Gerard Pappenfuss, CEO of the National Employers Association of South Africa, said in a statement that if an employer is bankrupt and the staff component is completely disproportionate, as is the case of South African Airways, a union's negotiating power is so eroded that the last thing it can afford to do is strike. Pappenfuss said, South African Airways behaves as if it is still solvent, which it isn't, especially if its salvation was dependent on further funding from a real-world commercial bank and not state bailouts. He warned, South African Airways pretends as if its service is indispensable, which is not the case. Its airspace market share, local and international, is in the region of 20%, which will be taken up by other carriers in the event of South African Airways' demise. South African Airways spokesperson Tiali, the one who refused to have a live stream with me with the whistleblower, remember that? He told journalists at a media briefing at OR Tambo Airport on Friday that the strike is costing the airline a revenue of 52 million rand per day. Well, that's just simply because the board are not accountable. And I can understand why the staff are up in arms, but they have got too many staff, as that graph that I showed you just a moment ago proves. Alright guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like and share this video, and above all, stay safe. Bye for now.